Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, this whole Concord situation is getting even worse. Now, as you guys probably know, because we made a few videos on it and a lot of people are having a discourse on it, the Concord game is an utter failure. Now, I say that with the biggest pain in my heart because the game costs, I think, apparently now $150 million, 8 years of actual development time, and I do feel bad for the devs. But at the same time, a lot of the game was just the market wasn't there, the price wasn't there, there's cheaper alternatives, there was a lot of like kind of forced inclusivity of just characters that just weren't really cool, and I'm not usually the biggest like naysayer against it, but like they were just one fun, like it just wasn't a fun, good game. And now apparently some of the devs have now been calling out people, complaining, and just overall just being not a good vibe when it comes to everything online. So we're gonna go talk about that, talk a bit more about the Concord situation, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on everything down below. But it does seem like the game is already done. Like, it's been 2 days, it's already done. So subscribe if you guys want, swing by Twitch and say hi, follow up on Twitter, and leave a like and your thoughts down below, and well, let's just talk about it. So first and foremost, let's go to a player count update, which has gotten even worse. If you guys saw our video yesterday, it kind of peaked out around like 700 or so, give or take ish. And yeah, the game itself is just not doing good. It really is not. We've seen some numbers in comparison where Golem, which was actually rated the worst game of the entire 2023. The game was a bugged mess. It was horrible. Probably one of the worst games I myself have personally ever seen. Horrible game. I'm talking like you can probably go make your own game better, and this is with like a big IP, you know, like it's big, like everyone knows Golem as a character from Lord of the Rings. It's a big game, big IP, big budget, big everything, and it was a big failure. And even that game, even Redfall, all had more players than Concord did. And this is a multiplayer game too, so you're meant to have multiple people, meant to have other people around. And you guys can probably go and see the game right this second. It is at 381 players, and it's probably going to go down. We saw numbers as low as 250. That is ridiculous, because also don't forget there's a lot of developers playing the game right now too. So like you have like the developers, developer friends, people doing reviews, like maybe like press people who may have gotten keys. Yeah, even right now I saw Dado was streaming the game for a sponsored segment, so I mean he's one of them up there too, and maybe even some people trying to stream snap, you know, stuff like that. Like he had, I think, like 800 viewers, and the game still only has a few hundred, because don't forget this is a multiplayer game where you need 12 people to fill up a lobby. So at this point the lobby numbers are like 30 if at most, and when the numbers are this low for a multiplayer match, it starts to get to the point where like you have to wait a very long time to even get into a match, or as well a lot of the matches will end up getting filled with bots. So it just is bad. Like, and this is after 1 day, so imagine how low it's going to be even closer. Like at a certain point it's just not going to be playable. And I don't want to harp on the game too, I do feel bad for the devs, but now we're actually kind of seeing a lot more of these devs kind of calling out like a lot of people. Now I do want to go and say I do understand some of their comments. Like, let's say you're making a game and you spend all this time and your own effort and you put your heart and soul into the game itself, and people are dogging on it or making fun of it. I understand that you want to return the favor and kind of sass back, so I don't want to go and harp on them too much, but it still is a bad look. But it's understandable. Like, I don't want them to be like getting any hate or make me think like, wow, you can't have it feelings online. Totally okay with it, and I don't think it's not that bad, but a lot of their responses have just been really gross. You know, like, it's just not a good vibe. Saying, yes, this is in fact one of Concord's devs responding to feedback and criticism. I'm so honored to have had this be my first AAA game. It was a huge learning experience, lots of struggles, but I'm glad to have gone through them. Time to go play. And then they're basically having people that are critiquing the game, being like, hey, like, I didn't like this, or hey, I didn't like this, or hey, the game's kind of boring, hey, whatever. Which, once again, sometimes there's a time and a place. I would almost want to say they kind of somewhat welcomed it, because they're tweeting about it, they're talking about it, they're interacting about it. And I don't want to say like they can't, but just their personality that they have is just not a good look. It's just not a good vibe. Like, we kind of knew the game was going to be a little bit rough either way. And I've seen some other devs that have worked on Concord that have very nice statements where it's like, you guys may not like our game, but I'm happy with what we put out. Great statement. Or someone be like, hey, this may not be your cup of tea. Understandable. Great statement. That they're proud of their way of working on the game for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 years. Understandable. That's good vibes. Like, we like that. But this was like them basically having people just saying, pay me $8 to unhide your tweet. Pay me $8 to unhide a reply. They're just spamming people over here trying to go. The funny thing is, I don't think this is even like a joke. Like, some people generally think like this, and it's kind of nasty. And as well, on top of this one, you see this, and then people are really like, they're going harsh. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, they're going a little bit harsh, harsher than they probably should. Obviously, if you make a game, you're working at something, you gotta be able to go stay in the heat in the kitchen. I think some people are going a little too hard on them and going a little bit too mean, but it still is a really, really bad look, because they're knocking off the critics, knocking off people who are judging and critiquing the game. And if you're making something, I understand that it's hard to feel that, hard to have someone critique you. I could have someone critique me for my Twitch streams or my YouTube videos, and even if I think they're wrong or I don't really care or I'm just kind of going through the motions, it still can hurt, or it can still bother me and make me want to have a clap back or whatever. So I get it. I don't want them to feel bad, but like, these people are like roughing it up. Like, it's just pain. Saying just by looking at the game, you can tell this is how the devs would be. Like, bro. They were looking for new jobs soon when Sony shuts down their studio, and I get why they're begging for money. Like, these are rough comments, man. This is rough. What a competent, professional, balanced, and mature individual. I wonder which political spectrum. And people are making about like politics. People talk about the characters. And I don't want to make this a political video or whatever. I just think it's just a bad look for a dev to go be doing this, because they've also, at this point too as well, have made their profile private. We've had other people saying here, there's like a response to their other stuff too as well. And like, I honestly, I want to say I get it. Like, I don't want someone to be making fun of their political beliefs or like how they vote or what they look like. It's not really the time and place, but I guess how the game has kind of been projected and pushed for it. Like, it just, no one really wanted it, man. It was trying to force it too hard, and it wasn't a good vibe. And I don't want to be one of those hate-filled people, you know, being like, oh my God, but it really just, it wasn't fun. I didn't want to be in the characters, and the game wasn't a fun game. Like, it was cool. It was played well in times, but it just wasn't a fun game. Like, you can give me a game with the best graphics ever, but if it's boring, it's going to be boring. And like, the game itself had like fast-paced gameplay, but the movement was really slow and really wide open maps. So like, you just basically got shot at. There wasn't any like single player experience or lore to build up the game to make me invest in the characters. And there is a lot of critiques for it. There were proper, legitimate critiques. The genre is overplayed. There's free-to-play options that are better out there. Like, these are all valid comments that are proper critiques. Now, saying someone's political spectrum, as you could probably guess it off the game, isn't really a good valid critique. That's more on the hate side. But at the same time, like, some people also don't really want to bring into like that type of genre into a game. And I can kind of understand both ends. Without the hate, like, people shouldn't be hating on devs. Although I do want to say this dev has been kind of very up their own behind, saying I don't really care in terms of like critique. It was a huge labor from an insanely talented people making an awesome game. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? I'm sure having fun playing it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And let me break this down for someone who is one of those like talentless freaks hating on it. I can tell you right now if a game's gonna be good or not. I have put like probably millions of hours, that's an overstatement, of playing video games. I've been playing games my entire life. I've been streaming as a partner streamer for over 10 years. I've seen the trends. I've seen what games pop. I've seen what works out well. I make YouTube videos. I look on Twitter. I'm chronically online. I can tell you if a game's going to do okay or not. And a lot of people knew this game was not going to fit because we do market research and we see what games work. So it's kind of just insulting in my end. Like, I don't think they deserve hate. I don't think they deserve pain. If they worked hard in the game, they should be proud of what they worked on. But seeing people call us out just makes everything look worse, because we're now seeing Concord devs writes off critics. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? And then this just makes other people more upset. It's like, why do you want to go and throw a random gasoline on a fire? Like, sometimes just go and take the stride. You had a job, worked out, you have a good resume experience, can maybe work on future games, but Concord's not gonna last. Like, it has 250 people, the game is dead, like, no matter what it is too as well. But I am proud of them. Like, I'm proud that they made the game itself. I'm cool that they did this, but it really just is not a good look. Saying, I'm so sorry. This is what they said originally before. I'm so sorry this has to be your first. I do not believe it's you or any of the other devs' fault that this game has performed so poorly. I can tell there are a lot of efforts put into this game too as well. And like, they respond to it even with like just no grace. There's no passion. And I get it. Not everything's going to be the best world and it's hard to respond to. But I've had things that I've had to go and man up about and go and talk about. And it sucks knowing that you're either wrong or it didn't go as well as you expected. And that's why the game's just rough. Like, sometimes you got to realize you took an L. You got paid for it. So on Sony's dime, PlayStation took a massive L. But at least at the end of the day, you had a job and you can still work for it. So give me your thoughts and comments down below. I don't give them any hate. They really just wasn't a good look, I'll be honest. But I get it. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below. Subscribe if you guys are new. Leave a like if you guys would like. Appreciate y'all for watching.